And a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome inside GCS Credit Union Ballpark, just outside of downtown St. Louis in Sauget, Illinois. Pleasure to be joining you here on a beautiful Sunday evening for baseball. Joined by the Otters Director of Communication, Preston Leinenbach, making your first appearance of the season on the Otters Digital Network, at least on the broadcasting side of things. Obviously, you've spent a lot of time watching this team. They were able to get another gritty win last night, the third or fourth of the week now.
Yeah, I think that's what stands out about this team this season is the grit. Whether they're behind early, they're able to come from behind more often than not. It feels like in a lot of games this year, that's not been any kind of pressure situation that this team hasn't faced in that regard. And then, of course, then late in the game, if it's still a close game, they're able to do their job to close it out. You know, there's still some teams in this league that are hoping to jump up the standings board, but they don't know how to close out games. They don't know how to win games in winning time. This team, obviously, over the years under Andy McCauley, knows how to do that, and this year has seemed to be no different.
It seems uplifting that Austin Gossman can hop off the IL and have a start like that. It did seem like they kept him on the IL a little longer than absolutely necessary to make sure he was at least as close to 100% as possible. A nice outing from him, only one run given up. It was an unearned run because of an error with 2 outs. Other than that, he looked rock solid in his 5 innings yesterday.
Yeah, very impressive considering, I guess, supposedly the injury that he was listed with, and that's why I think having them made that extra day past the 7-day going into yesterday's start did help. You never know the magnitude of how much it helped, but the significance definitely showed on the mound last night. And I think overall the pitching performance was top notch for the Otters, starting with Gossman 5 innings, giving you a chance. We know he'll probably eventually get back to his normal self, and he'll go deeper into the game. But giving those 5 innings, then having Bowles come in for multiple innings of work, solid. And then Gallardo probably with one of his better relief outings since arriving in Evansville. Of course, you have Sawyer on the back end, which, as a veteran, unfazed by the short, brief rain delay to close out and get the save.
Well, and it's also nice to see Gossman pick up 7 strikeouts in just the 5 innings of work as well. Otters got the lead in the 3rd inning on an RBI single from Elijah Mcnamee that extended his on-base streak to 35 games. But in the bottom half of the 3rd, the Grizzlies said, we'll take the advantage right back and even things up. Cesar Trejo grabbed another RBI in this series. That RBI came 2 batters after an error on George Khalil that allowed the first runner on with 2 outs. A couple walks later, they had an opportunity to bring him home, and they did indeed. But in the 4th, Jeffrey Baez stood up and took the lead back for the Otters, one that they would not surrender again, to not quite the deepest part of this ballpark, but dead center field is where it went over. That gave the Otters a 2-1 lead. They added one more later on in the 6th inning on a RBI double from Andy Armstrong off the top of the Pepsi sign in left field. One more foot, and it's his first home run. Probably a bit disheartening to see that he wasn't quite able to take it over the wall, but it was a big RBI that helped give the Otters some insurance. They go on to win 3-1. Like you mentioned, Logan Sawyer, unfazed is really the best way to put it. I mean, he was really frustrated the game got put in that rain delay. It's nice to see the delay was short enough that he was still able to go, and he picked up 2 out of 3 strikeouts of the 3 batters he faced, and again, proved why he's the best closer, if not just in the Frontier League, in all of independent baseball last night.
Yeah,
13 of 13.
And for a lot of guys, a situation like that might rattle their mentality a little bit. They go out there, they're getting ready to take the mound, try to finish out for the last 3 outs, and then, of course, the ball gets taken away for the rain delay. But for him, it's probably just extra added motivation just to get himself psyched back up into the moment. He's kind of like that, where he'll take just little things just to get him kind of worked up, and of course we know how that translates to his velocity as well.
And with the win, the Otters claim at least a split in this 4-game set, the only 4-game set they play all year, and it's really uplifting to see the sweep over Joliet. Now 2 out of the 2 games you've played against Gateway after that really tough road trip a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's got to be said that this might be one of the highest points of the Otters mentally this season.
I agree. Coming off of that road trip, which everybody knew that wasn't the normal Otters, and they do things that were kind of bent out of shape a little bit, but no overreaction when you're only in the month of June to a 1-5 road trip. It's too early to let it define your season. So they come back home, take care of business in 3 games, and they take that momentum with them on the road with a close rival, I would say, at this point with the Gateway Grizzlies. And again, got a nice homestand coming up, so you would like to continue to carry that momentum with hopefully at least a winning series, if not a 4-game sweep, before they have the 6 games at home later this week.
And playing in a 13-13 with no off day this Monday, you're obviously wanting to take, if not half, 2/3 of this 13 games. And to start off 5-0 is a great way to start things off. This is a Gateway team that you've had their number all season long. I think there's going to be a lot to be questioned about tonight. Brodie Tanksley is making a start behind the plate. We're going to get to see him prove what he can do behind the plate. He had a lot of work with Dakota Phillips today, learning more about the types of pitches that he's going to see from Justin Watland. I think this is going to be a real test to see what Brodie Tanksley can call behind the plate.
Yeah, when your number's called upon, it's time to step up. Obviously, with Phillips having the hard slide at second last night, he's going to be out of the lineup for the foreseeable future. We don't know the exact details yet, but for Tanksley, a big opportunity for him to kind of show himself. He apparently has shown well in his one at-bat that he had previously. He was able to put it in play, get a nice solid hit out of it, but we'll be interested to see if he can provide a little bit more. Of course, for him in his position, his main responsibility is just taking care of the pitching staff, handling Justin Watland on the mound tonight, and make sure that they get their job done as the battery for the Otters.
We'll dig more into the starting lineup for the Otters after the national anthem. Let's run through the Fox Sports WYFX Frontier League scoreboard here as we look at things on this Sunday, July 3rd. One game already in the books. Tri-City with a 7-3 win, hosting Empire State in one of the most fun series all weekend long. Trois-Rivières and Quebec in the battle for Quebec. Trois-Rivières had the best of them last night. It's now Quebec up 15-2 in the 8th inning. Looks like the Capitals are going to be able to win that series closer and take the series. In the top of the 7th, Ottawa up 5-4 at New York. In the bottom of the 5th, scoreless in the battle for the Garden State. New Jersey and Sussex still looking for the first run. New Jersey put up big numbers last night and grabbed a win at Sussex. That looks like that could be a fun series all season long. Florence at Schaumburg. This is a Schaumburg team who really struggled in the last couple weeks. Bounced back well, got a sweep against Lake Erie, and now has won the first couple games against Florence. They could go for the sweep today as well. Washington, Lake Erie. Lake Erie did good to keep the Wild things close last night, but still lost 1-0. They're in the second inning right now, still scoreless. And in the top of the first, Windy City and Joliet about to get started as well. Our game is the final one to start, and likely will be the final one to end with a 6:45 first pitch, which is coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network. We'll break for the national anthem. And after that, we've got first pitch between the Grizzlies and Otters in Game 3 of their 4-game holiday weekend set. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is next. Just moments out of downtown St. Louis. The site is Sauget, Illinois for Game 3 between the Otters and the Grizzlies. Welcome back onto the Otters Digital Network. He's Preston Lineback. I'm Matthew Will. Pleased to be joining you and bringing you Otters baseball. Let's not waste any more time. Kick you right into the starting lineups First for the Otters that we'll see here in the top of the first, right fielder Elijah McNamee is going to be Edward Jones' leadoff hitter of the game, followed by the first baseman Zach Biermann, and center fielder Miles Gordon. The middle three are going to be the designated hitter Steven Sinsley, batting fifth, the second baseman J.R. Davis, and all the way down in the sixth hole is the left fielder Jeffrey Baez. Rounding out the lineup, third baseman Anthony Torellis batting seventh, the catcher Brodie Tanksley batting eighth, and batting ninth is the shortstop Andy Armstrong. Justin Watland will be on the mound. More on him in the bottom half of the first. As for the man on the mound for the Grizzlies this evening, it's Carson LaRue, making his second start against the Otters this season. The man behind the plate for him is Jackson Pritchard. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by The Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at The Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give him a call at 812-475-9000. LaRue's going to throw the four-seam, the slider, and the change, and that's about all you're going to see from him. As for the Otters, though, McNamee, Biermann, Gordon, the first three, a lineup that we've seen the past couple of nights. McNamee seems to be a reliable leadoff man. Why not go with him?
I mean, he's going to give you opportunities to get on base. That's something that he has done well multiple times this season. And obviously, there's been a lot of question marks from a lot of our fans. Like, how come overall it just seems like his numbers are down? Well, average-wise, he's doing what he has always done. It's just a matter of him in the lineup. He's not really in those key RBI spots as much. Last year for the Otters, he was the middle of the order, RBI cleanup spot type of hitter. But with the way this team has so far shown its depth, he's not needed there. But his numbers are still good. He's still the same Elijah McNamee. And, yeah, serving as a good leadoff guy who can obviously put the ball in play and not strike out a whole ton.
Well, and it's a different role for him than it was last year. Last year, they really needed him as a guy who was bringing in runs very, very often. This year, you've got the likes of Biermann, Sinsley, Davis, Baez. You don't necessarily need him being the one driving in, except being the one driven in. And when you've made it on base 35 straight games, you're obviously doing something right to get on base. And a lot of those opportunities have been multi-on-base opportunities. It's not just consistency. It's with some depth as well. And it's been nice to see him really flourish in this leadoff spot.
And from a mental approach, he's a very patient hitter. He's not a free swinger. He's not looking to be really overly aggressive. He's going to wait for his pitch and grind out at bats and lengthen out the pitch count from the starting pitcher.
I can only think of 2 3-pitch strikeouts for him this year, maybe. Well, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Elijah McNamee, digs in to get this ball game started. Looking at a 6:48 first pitch. LaRue, long wind-up first pitch. Catches the elbows for a called strike one. McNamee, Biermann, and Gordon to lead off this first inning. There is a slight wind blowing out towards right field. Not too much, though. 0-1 to McNamee. Lifted high into the infield. Chasing inside is Achenbach from second. He calls everyone off, parks underneath it, and that's out number 1.
And if I recall correctly, I believe LaRue actually made his first start of the season against the Otters back at home about a month ago now, it seems like, at the beginning of June. Evansville was able to do pretty good against them, but it's always interesting to see how the guy does, the second, third time around against a team once he gets accustomed to the lineup.
Yeah, he pitched on the 10th of June there in Evansville, a 6-4 win for the Otters. But LaRue allowed 3 runs on 4 hits in just 3 innings of work. Since then, he's put together a 1-0 season, a 4.09 ERA. First pitch to Biermann, a half swing, and he checks it in time. It's ball 1. That's the second straight night we've seen Elijah McNamee have a pitch not go his way on the second one he saw of the game, and quick out. Biermann lifts one up towards right center field, chasing over his pinner. Parks underneath, and that's out number 2. 2 really quick outs to start the game for LaRue. He's going to need that to go deep in this game. We saw that last night as well. The Grizzlies put up Justin Farrell, who's a bullpen arm. We expected 3, maybe 4 innings. He went 5 strong and looked like he could have done more, and it was because he was able to get quick outs like this.
Yeah, Evansville tends to have a little bit more aggressiveness when they're here at this ballpark, especially from the left-handed bats for the short porch they have to work with and right. They want to jump on the fastball as soon as they can because they know it doesn't take much to carry it out. It looks like today with the wind blowing out there, it definitely won't take much, as we saw some good bombs in BP from some of the Otters.
Miles Gordon spent a lot of time in the leadoff spot, now sitting in the third hole. Starts off with a first pitch strike. The 0-1's headed his way. Swinging strike 2 on a slider towards the low inside corner.
And I don't think a year ago we see Gordon batting in the third spot, but because he has shown a little bit more potential for power and able to find the gaps a little bit more this season, there's more of a comfortable feeling for Skip to put him in this spot.
Lets an 0-2 go by just under the knees for ball one. Average is sitting just shy of 300. Of course, he started the season really slow, then got really hot for a couple weeks in the Otters' 7-game winning streak, and has now cooled off a little bit more. In last night's game, Miles Gordon did not play. It was his off day after playing, I believe, 13 straight games. Did manage a couple of hits, though, when the Otters and Grizzlies played 2 nights ago. 2-2 headed towards him. It's a swinging strike 3, foul tipped into the glove of Pritchard, and that'll do it for the top half of the first. 1-2-3 once again for the Otters to start off the game. It's Otters 0, Grizzlies coming to bat after this on the Otters Digital Network. Pleased you're joining us for Sunday Night Baseball. Ready to go here in the bottom half of the first inning. Justin Watland and the Otters take the field for the first time. Walk you through the Gateway lineup first. Batting first is the shortstop Abdiel Diaz. Batting second, the center fielder Andrew Penner. Batting third, the right fielder Isaac Bernard. Batting fourth, the second baseman Trevor Achenbach. Batting fifth, the first baseman Clint Freeman. Batting sixth, the designated hitter Cesar Trejo. Batting seventh, the left fielder Jay Prather. Batting eighth is the catcher Jackson Pritchard. And batting ninth is the third baseman Jose Rosario. On the mound for the Otters, Justin Watland. He's got Brodie Tanksley behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Tell you what, this is an unreal crowd piling in here to GCS Credit Union Ballpark. They knew it was going to be, and it lived up to it.
Yeah, and I always like, the layout of this ballpark. Very spread out in a lot of ways.
First pitch to Diaz is skied high into shallow right field. Davis is underneath it. Didn't have to move hardly at all, and that's out number one.
And, of course, you got the right field burn for all the people, especially on a holiday weekend. Like, there's nothing like sitting out there on the hill and pulling out the blanket. It just feels like a holiday weekend when you sit out there. But
well, unlike when we were here a month ago, the sun's in the perfect place that wall shades you from the setting sun. It's a nice place out there.
Yeah. Third base side, they got to battle the sun for a little while longer. That's maybe a little bit more of the brutal side to sit on right now.
Of course, it's just nice to have sun after it rained almost all day yesterday.
That's wild.
First pitch to Andrew Penner is a called strike.
It kind of struck me because we've been talking about how our field's been dried up because there's been this drought really through the Midwest area in the last month.
0-1 is strung on and missed, and Penner finds himself down 0-2. Excited to see how Tanksley works through these first couple innings, just settling into the groove and knowing what Justin Watland's strong points are. 0-2 is grounded to the left side. Torellis doesn't need to make a play on it as it does drift a bit foul.
But as I was driving over here, and you probably noticed it maybe too on the bus ride perhaps, how when you got to the Wabash River, how dry and low that was. Because, it's just been, like I said, such a dry period. Like, you can actually see part of the banks that normally is covered up.
0-2 to Penner. Stays low for ball one. Watland on the season has a season high in innings of 2 separate 7-inning appearances. His last one coming in his last start, a home start against Joliet earlier this week. He struck out 11, gave up no runs on 1 hit in 7 innings. He's going to start off this with a German American Bank strikeout, caught Penner chasing low and outside. It was really good to see him finally have an outing where it was no doubt he was the man for the job, and he proved it all night long, especially with the 2 games prior to it, combining 15 runs on his 21 hits in those last 2. Really good to see him bounce back the way he did.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, kind of a rough start on the road, bounced back really well. And that's no surprise because, again, we know Justin Watland has the stuff. His numbers still, I mean, based on the strikeout to walk ratio, is still pretty solid. He's a attack the strike zone type of guy, and sometimes, obviously that's what you want. You want guys to throw strikes, but sometimes you do once have to mix something out of the zone because if you throw in, consistently in the zone, they're going to get hit.
When he's very consistent about against both lefties and righties, both are hitting right at 250 against him. So he's really hasn't had a preference. He's found ways to carve around orders regardless of who he's facing. Isaac Bernard, the right fielder at the plate, looking at a 2-1. Catches the elbows for a called strike 2. Counts evened up. Walking around the defense real quick. Baez, Gordon, Mcnamee, left to right across the outfield. A swinging strike 3 is the second straight German American Bank strikeout for Justin Watland. And it's a nice way to start the game. 3 up, 3 down, both sides. Watland's able to grab a couple of strikeouts. We head to the second inning. Still looking for our first score here from Sauget. And to the top of the second we go. Steven Sinsley, J.R. Davis, and Jeffrey Baez due up. Both teams 3 up, 3 down in the first. Nice to see starting pitching jumping in to a good place in this game. Of course, the humidity and heat could do a little bit with the batters. Sometimes takes a little time to fall into pace of a game, but as a fan of pitchers' duels, I'm okay with this one.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with pitchers' duels. Especially as we both know, working in baseball, pitchers' duels tend to be a little bit quicker. But no, nonetheless, Justin Watland, good solid inning for him. And I mentioned to you after we went off air after that inning, like that last pitch, it took a little bit off of it. And it was pretty filthy. I mean, in terms of the spin and how much he was able to slow it down a little bit.
LaRue, long wind-up, first pitch to Steven Sinsley. He lets it go by for a called strike right at the inside knees. LaRue really makes you wait for it up there on the mound. Might be the slowest windup I've seen this year. 0-1 on the way for Sinsley. Huge swing, but he was just ahead of it. Quickly down 0-2 in the count.
And usually that's kind of a mechanism a lot of pitchers use, that kind of throwing off the timing of the batters, just because maybe they know they can't overpower batters, so they try to just do little things to pitch and deter the timing.
These power hitters love to sit on that fastball. 0-2, Sinsley swings right through it. It's a swinging strike 3, and it's the second straight strikeout for Carson LaRue. Well, when in doubt, keep throwing it off speed, and the power hitter is going to swing way ahead of it.
Of course, at this point, with the way, especially the June that Sinsley had, pitchers are well aware not to give too many fastballs to Sinsley, just like Jeffrey Baez as well.
J.R. Davis proves just as much power in times at the plate now. Managed to hit last night. His single left him stranded at first, however. He did walk later in the game, but was stranded once again. Starts off with a called strike that he turned around and asked the home plate umpire just for clarification on. Still no 1 count. LaRue fires home and sent out towards center field. Penner won't have to move too far to his left side to bring it in for out number 2. Well, a couple of solid contact opportunities for the Otters, but they're putting it right at the guys out there.
Yeah. And the thing is, we noticed that there's going to be kind of a lot of slicing away fades with the way the wind's blowing out here. There are a lot of balls that maybe were intended to be pulled toward the left center gap, ended up towards center or even right center a little bit during BP.
Well, and with that, the amount of rain that dropped yesterday, it gets so humid that those balls do not travel as quickly in the air as they usually do. They kind of get stuck. One man broke that last night. That was Jeffrey Baez. Solo shot to straight center field. He's up now and starts off with a called strike 1. Again, an off-speed pitch. LaRue really working away from his four-seam fastball that he throws. Oh, 1 towards Baez. It bounces in on the outside edge. Ball 1 counting it up. Baez also grounded into a double play in last night's game. Kind of ruined an opportunity. The Otters were trying to put some insurance on the board. Another pitch works way outside, and he's ahead in the count now, 2-1. LaRue really taking his time up there. A 2-1 is on the way for Jeffrey Baez. Stays low at the knees. He's ahead 3-1. Quick look around the defensive setup for Gateway. Prather, Penner, Bernard left to right across the outfield. Rosario's at third. Diaz at short. Achenbach second. Freeman at first. And, of course, Jackson Pritchard behind the plate. 3-1 to Baez. Lifted high. Foul right behind home. It's going to get out of play. And someone might have a souvenir.
Up here to the group outings to the right of the press box.
They have to make a quick play over there.
Now, after your last story on your last trip to Gateway, where you said, was it one of our guys or who launched it over the clubhouse out there and left?
It was one of Gateway's guys.
One of Gateway's guys. Okay, yeah. So I made sure to park as far away from that as possible just to be safe.
A 3-2 works high and outside. Baez caught swinging after it. And it's a third strikeout of the day for Carson LaRue that sits the Otters down 1-2-3 for the second straight inning. We head to the bottom half of the second. Still looking for our first hit in this ballgame. Bottom of the second inning. Combined, it's 9 up, 9 down so far in this game. Nobody's gotten on base. Pitcher's doing well so far. Carson LaRue was able to grab a couple of strikeouts. Tell you what, if you want to get a strikeout against Jeffrey Baez, Either put it low and away on him or up high, and he'll chase very often. That's LaRue doing his homework. First pitch home to Achenbaugh is just a bit low for ball one to kick us off in the second.
Yeah, because everybody knows basically obviously middle of the zone, it's anybody's sweet spot, but for Baez middle in, that's his.
1-0 works inside near the belt for ball two. Achenbaugh came out of nowhere to steal the home run crown from Zach Biermann a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
He's currently tied for first at 14.
Kind of knew that Achenbaugh was going to figure it out eventually. He previously was with the River City Rascals for multiple years under Steve Brook at that time, and was always really one of the top tier hitters in both power and just an average as well. His average is actually still a little bit down compared to where he's normally at. But for him, yeah, the home run's not surprising. He'll be heating it up for sure. We used a couple of years ago when Evansville and River City just seemed to always be both in the chase of the division a couple of years ago, pre-COVID.
5-pitch walk is going to end up sending Trevor Achenbaugh to first.
He always seemed to be kind of, when the two teams matched up, the Otter killer. I mean, he always just seemed kind of to hurt the Otters.
Well, one of the comments they made on their broadcast last night is that of his 14, not one is to right field. Despite having the easiest right field in the Frontier League to hit home runs in, he pulls everything to left. Clint Freeman, another man who can hit home runs very efficiently, at the plate now. He hit one on Friday night. First pitch here is fouled off to the left side. Torellis thinks he's underneath it. He is indeed out number one. Kind of a gift after that walk.
Tell you what, though, if the home run derby still existed this year for the Otters, having either of these two teams, because there were three guys from each side that would participate in the home run derby lineup last year, as far as the extra inning hit off, I guess you'd say, both of these teams would qualify with having some of the top three lineups for a home run derby.
Cesar Trejo, the designated hitter for the Grizzlies, starting to heat up a bit since joining this team just a couple weeks ago.
Because that's the last year when the Otters did have the home run derby, you always knew who two of the three would be. It was going to be Riley Crane at the time and Dakota Phillips. Sometimes that third person was kind of shuffled around. You never really knew who it was going to be. This year, I think you know.
1-0 to Trejo. A check swing. Didn't matter. It was a called strike anyway. And yeah, it seems like Steven Sinsley's the easy first choice. Zach Biermann's the easy first choice. And probably Jeffrey Baez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if they're getting
obviously you put Phillips in the conversation after last night. Like I said, we don't know when he'll what his timetable is.
Yeah.
But
1-1. There goes the runner. Tanksley will not throw. Didn't look comfortable jumping up. It kind of looked like when he jumped up, he ran into the bat of Trejo. Kind of looked like it was a decision of I should keep it in my glove instead of overthrow second. It's a stolen base for Trevor Achenbaugh. It's one of the things that makes Achenbaugh such a well-rounded, dangerous player. Good power, good speed, can do just about anything for your ball club. 1-2 pitch to Trejo. Swinging strike three, and it's the third German American Bank strikeout of the game for Justin Watland.
Yeah, and for Achenbaugh, playing generally an infield position at second base where you normally don't see those kind of production numbers. I mean, you see the stolen bases. Usually that's where your speed is, but you don't see so much power normally from the second baseman. Yeah, well-rounded.
Good to see Watland pull out the slider there to grab a strikeout. Now it's a righty-lefty matchup against Jay Prather. Prather's batted in the 3-hole the last two nights, all the way down in the 7-hole this evening. He got robbed twice last night. Once on the nice play from Torrelis over there in the foul area of third base, and then once as Steven Sinsley backhanded a ball that was getting lasered towards him at first. The ball's lifted out towards left field. Baez carrying towards the wall. Did he make the catch as he fell to the wall? Yes, he did. That's the third out of the inning. Long way to run for Baez, and he grabs it on his way over the wall. Kids get a souvenir. Otters get themselves out of the inning. We head to the third. Still scoreless here from Sauget. To the top of the third we go. Still no runs, still no hits in this game. The only base runner, a walk given up by Justin Watland. But as we've seen a lot from this Otters defense, the defense backs him up. He's able to grab a strikeout, and Otters get themselves out of the inning.
That's the thing. For Evansville, they're typically known to have a lot of strikeouts through the rotation, but they're also pretty good at pitching through their defense when they need to, situationally, and did a good job there to kind of get them really a quick inning for the most part.
6 up, 6 down for the Otters thus far, so we'll see the 7, 8, 9 hitters of Anthony Torellis, Brodie Tanksley, and Andy Armstrong. Anthony Torellis has been fun to watch develop as a hitter, making his professional debut here in these last couple of weeks. Last night he managed a single and reached on a fielder's choice. He scored the first run for the Otters. First pitch towards him. A very quick check swing, but it's a called strike one anyway. Torrelis quickly back ready. LaRue's ready to send it his way already. The 0-1. Torrelis zooms it out towards right field. Bernard chasing back to the wall. Gone! Anthony Torrelis hits his second professional home run over the right center field wall, and the Otters lead here in the third.
And again, the expectation, I think, for Torellis when he was signed was just, we just need somebody to be at third base. Add another person to the rotation of the infield because there was, some question marks here and there.
Well, I tell you what, he keeps this up much longer, and depending on what we hear about Dakota Phillips and how quick or far he could be out, Anthony Torrelis could be a full-time third baseman.
And, you just kind of wanted him to just kind of come in, contribute how he can. You really didn't need him to be a star player in the lineup, being the big home run guy or anything like that. And he's just done the little things for this team and continues just to really be impressive and open up some eyeballs.
0-1 to Tanksley. Let's go, and it evens up at 1-1. I think one of the things I've liked the best, if not the thing I like the best about Anthony Torrelis, is that he mimics Elijah Mcnamee a lot at being a very patient at-bats. Kind of makes a pitcher pitch towards him. That helps him out. Tanksley, ground ball towards Diaz. He'll play it on 2 hops to first in plenty of time. 4 out, number 1. And Tanksley's 1,000 batting average has come to a close after his second at-bat.
And if you can help me remember, the first home run for Torellis, that was on the last road trip, correct?
Yeah.
Is that Lake Erie or Florence?
It was Florence, okay. I believe, yeah. And it was his second professional game. So Andy Armstrong at the plate now was just mere feet from his first home run of the season. He's the only Otter regular, but what I mean by that is been on the Otters for most of the season, spent a lot of time in the lineup. Only Otter regular without a home run so far this year. But that double he did hit off that top of the wall scored the run that helped the Otters kind of solidify things up 3-1 at that point. The 0-1 is sent right back up to LaRue. Look what I found play. Over to first and plenty of time for out number 2.
Regardless, it was good to see Armstrong get some confidence after a 2-hit night over this weekend series.
It's nice to see him put up back-to-back multi-hit games. First time all season he's managed that, and finally some strong confidence from him. He's already proved himself as a very worthy defensive player. Now that he's starting to find confidence at the plate, rounding into a nice player for the Otters. Back to the top of the order we go. And the right fielder and Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Elijah Mcnamee, into the plate. First pitch is a called strike on the high inside corner. He popped up to shortstop his first time up on the second pitch he saw. Didn't really have time to stay patient and find a way around the count, I guess. 0-1 the count towards Mcnamee. Lets another pitch go by, this one at the knees for strike 2, and he turns away a little frustrated.
Earlier we saw J.R. Davis kind of look back and just, as you said, clarify with the umpire. And that's not really showing the umpire up, especially early in the game. They're just trying to get an idea of what his zone's going to be like. Even though it's supposed to be defined the same way, cross home plate, top to bottom, the same way.
Mcnamee pushes one out towards right field. Bernard at the wall. Gone! That one's off the reader boards out there in right. The Otters have their second home run of the inning and take a 2-0 lead here at Gateway. Well, the bread and butter for the Otters all season long has kind of disappeared in the last few weeks. Well, it's back now here in this third inning. They lead by a pair. That'll bring up Zach Biermann. Tell you what, that's another guy who can do it to you. First pitch to him. Big curveball falls in for a called strike one. And you know, Mcnamee is not a name we said a lot here in this first couple of games of this series. They have not seen much defensive work out there in right field like he did the last time the Otters were here. But all around, he's, like we mentioned, made a significant impact as a consistent bat in the lineup every single day. And hey, you always take a home run from your leadoff man that can help set the pace a little bit more.
Exactly.
And it means so much more for a team that has the likes of Biermann, Sinsley, Baez to get home runs from Mcnamee and Torrelis. Biermann pushes one out towards center field. Penner thinks he's got a play on this one near the warning track, and he does for out number 3. But not before the Otters hit 2 over that fence in right field to take a 2-run lead into the bottom of the third. Otters 2, Grizzlies still looking for their first run of the game.
Or in order.
We head to the bottom of the third. Otters lead by a pair of runs now on solo home runs from Anthony Torellis and Elijah Mcnamee. That's a way to start a ball game offensively.
Yeah, it took a couple innings for both teams to adjust, but the Otters adapted first in this game. It's good to see Anthony Torellis again contribute with a home run to right, and then we saw his Mcnamee. And that's a good way just to turn the lineup part over. And as you were mentioning, I'm sure the other guys, Biermann and Baez, love seeing that. It takes pressure off them as well. They don't feel like they have to be the guys all the time. They know that they can trust their teammates to come through.
Yeah, it's nice to see a couple of the bats that you're really having the lineup to just get consistent base hits, also contributing to the long ball. Jackson Pritchard, the catcher, at the plate now. Starts off with a called strike one and now a foul ball off to the right side. Falls down 0-2. For Mcnamee, it's his 4th home run of the year. His 3rd solo shot. Torrelis, his 2nd of the year. 2nd solo shot. 0-2 the count quickly for the catcher, Jackson Pritchard. Watland kicks and delivers. Fastball stays a bit low. They ask, did he go? They say, no, he didn't, and it's a 1-2 count. Pritchard's found his way to be pretty consistent, a 242 average, 17 RBIs. A lot of the time has a chance to bring runners in. Hard hit to the left side. Torrelis on 2 hops. The throw over to first is in plenty of time to recover the first out of this inning. Now, I'm pretty sure I mentioned the outfield, but didn't get to the infield when I was mentioning the Otters' defensive alignment. Baez, Gordon, Mcnamee, of course, left to right in the outfield, just like typical. Torrelis is playing third. Andy Armstrong is at short. J.R. Davis at second. Zach Biermann at first. Brodie Tanksley behind the plate. This is a really strong defensive lineup tonight. First pitch to Jose Rosario, way inside ball 1.
Yeah, and from a defensive standpoint, I mean, you got probably the best outfield defensively in all the Frontier League, I'll say. And when you look at the infield, there were maybe some nervy moments in the opening week at first base, but both first basemen, respectively Sinsley, Biermann here tonight, have gotten a lot better at picking balls out of the dirt. Maybe some low throws or short hop throws.
Called strike 2 on the outside edge. Has Rosario down in the count 1-2.
And I'm sure for J.R. Davis, as experienced as he is, he's probably disappointed himself because there's probably a lot of plays where he feels like he should have made them, and they might have snuck through for a base hit.
Rosario started the year a little bit on the downside of things, but in the last series that the Grizzlies played, he went 5 for 12 with 3 doubles, a home run, 6 RBIs, a couple stolen bases as well. Really started to put him in a consistent place in this 9-hole. Takes a pitch just a hair inside, and the count's now full. So Watland will prepare himself for a payoff pitch on the way now. Swinging strike 3, and Rosario goes falling out of the zone. It's the 4th German-American Bank strikeout of the game for Justin Watland. Working well through this game thus far.
He's really attacked the outside part of the plate against the righties really strong here this game between that fastball and that slider.
When his slider is so strong with the movement it has towards the outside, those righties chase it, seems like every time. Abdiel Diaz, the leadoff man, steps up, started with the intentions to bunt, pulled away in time for ball 1.
And Watland, when he delivers out of the windup especially, he kind of hides the ball differently than most pitchers. Usually a lot of pitchers, they keep the ball kind of about, belt high when they're behind the hip when they, in their delivery. He has a little bit higher up, a little bit more toward the midsection, but still hidden very well to create that deception where the batter can't really see the ball until it's coming out of the hand.
A 2-0 bounces in, and for the second time tonight, a Grizzly batter is facing a 3-0 count.
And really, Watland doesn't extend fully until he is at his release point in front of him.
Called strike right at the elbows, gets Watland on the right side of things. And that's one of the things that really sets the Otters aside this year. Is in a 3-game set, you're going to see 3 very different exit chances from him. Tim Holgrafer had one that mimicked Watland's a little bit, but now with him not in the starting rotation, every single one is very different. A 3-1 catches high inside for ball 4, and Diaz is going to earn a 2-out walk, his first time on base tonight.
And that's something that kind of stands out about Max Peterson as the pitching coach and his tenure with the Otters is he's not going to basically change the mechanics a whole lot when it comes to the pitchers on the staff because they're here for a reason. They obviously have earned this opportunity.
First pitch for Penner. The throw out to second was very late. Had Brodie actually got that into his throwing hand a little quicker, he might have had a play out there. But it looked like he missed the ball. It's a second stolen base of the game. And, that might be a Grizzlies team that knows they've got a catcher behind the plate who hasn't started a game yet this year and is trying to take advantage of that fact. 1-0 the count to Penner. Ball 2 stays a bit low. Penner is 2 for 9 in this series thus far. His 2 hits were doubles, 1 in each game. 2 balls, no strikes to the former Otter. Sent bouncing foul to the left side will get past Torrelis in foul territory.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if the Otters still had his rights for a second year like a normal contract would allow, Penner might still be in Evansville, but because originally he was going to play up in Canada before last year under Steve Brook when he was supposed to be the mayor of Ottawa, the dispersal draft changed all that. He ended up being drafted by Washington, then acquired in a trade with Washington.
Hefty swinging strike 2 evens the count up.
And then Steve Brook was able to work out the deal with Ottawa to bring him to Gateway once Brook took the job here with the Grizzlies. Because all the dispersal draft player rights went back to their original Canadian team after last season.
2-2 is foul tipped towards the glove of Tanksley, but he can't squeeze in time. Count remains at 2-2.
Evansville's dispersal draft pick last year was Jackie Urbias, which you've already seen this year in your road trip early in the season.
And I tell you what, Jackie Urbias is going to be one of the most dangerous hitters in the Frontier League. A 2-2. Runners going. Skied high towards mid-deep left field. Gordon comes all the way over to make the play, calls everybody off. That's out number 3 here in the third inning. A 2-out walk will not come back to hurt the Grizzlies. And after 3 full, it's Otters 2, Grizzlies 0.
Oh my God.
Into the middle third of the game we go. Otters have a 2-0 lead after a couple of solo home runs from a couple of guys you might not expect. Anthony Torellis and Elijah Mcnamee are responsible for the scoring thus far. Miles Gordon will lead off this fourth inning. First pitch to the lefty, skied high towards left center field. Chasing in is Prather. He'll call everybody off and bring it in for out number 1 very quickly here in the fourth inning. Kind of surprising. We saw it there to close out the half inning for Gateway, and now we see it to open this one. That ball looks really good off the bat and then just dies once it gets up high.
Yeah, it seems like you gotta keep it down almost for a line drive to keep it out of the wind.
Steven Sinsley at the plate now. You and I enjoyed watching him during batting practice today. Put a couple well over the right field wall. First pitch here, he's way ahead on. Was expecting fastball again, able to just dribble it foul to the right side.
Of course, we've seen him hit some a long way at Bossy Field, which normally that once you get in towards center field, away from the lines, that ballpark holds a lot of pitches in that probably would go out in a lot of ballparks.
Count evens up at 1-1 after taking the pitch outside. Sinsley's at 9 home runs this season. That's tied with Dakota Phillips for the second highest on the team. Ooh, nice breaking ball. Catches the outside edge. Just morphed it a tiny bit inside from the last pitch.
The back door.
Yeah. So Sinsley finds himself down 1-2 in the count. With 1 out, nobody on. A 1-2. Put towards the gap on the right side. Achenbach, long run, the throw. Oh, what a play. I tell you what, Achenbach had to move a long way to make that play. Jumped into the air, threw back over the shoulder to first. That's a beautiful play on the defensive side for the Grizzlies.
Wow, that was pretty good. Sinsley's a left-handed batter, so he gets that little extra advantage going up the first base line, and still, great play by Achenbach. Got to tip your cap.
They even pulled the shift, and Achenbach was not in the right place to make that play. Didn't end up haunting them, though. It'll bring up the second baseman, J.R. Davis. Flew out to center field his first time up. His first pitch of this at bat nearly catches him in the helmet. He has to jump or go falling down underneath it. It's the third time this series he's almost had one grab him in the helmet.
Feels like he's had a few of those just this season. Of course, you see where his front foot is. His front foot's very inside on the batter's box.
A 1-0. He doesn't move an inch, and it stays way outside for ball 2. Yeah, it always looks like he's trying to push it to the opposite field. Maybe it's the bright red elbow guard. Kind of like the bull attracted to the red sheet. The ball's just attracted towards the high inside corner for him.
Yeah, usually when you have those kind of stances from right-handed batters in this case, you're usually going to obviously try to push it the other way, or just kind of a little extra way for them to kind of keep their front shoulder in a little bit longer, not fly it open to pull it foul, but yet if he does pull it, it goes that way.
2-1. Launch to left field. It's high, but it's not deep. Prather's underneath it for out number 3. That's a disappointing one for the Otters. Beautiful off the bat. Didn't do anything once it got off it. We head to the bottom half of the 4th. Otters still lead by a pair of runs. Here from Sauget. Beautiful night for baseball. To the bottom of the 4th we go. Due up for the Gateway Grizzlies, Isaac Bernard, Trevor Achenbaugh, and Clint Freeman. So far, Justin Watland has allowed just one base runner, and he worked around it well. Baez helped him out as well in that half inning. Nice to see him working pretty simply at this point. First pitch to Isaac Bernard is a bit too far inside for ball 1. It doesn't make sense that the Gateway Grizzlies are at 22-22 on the season when their middle of the order is Bernard, Achenbaugh, Freeman. I mean, these are 3 really solid hitters, but they haven't had the consistency in their back half of the lineup, and I feel like that's been part of the reason that they've dropped so many games.
From an offensive, and I feel like overall, I mean, the pitching's been good, but for Steve Rook, he's normally got some top tier pitchers, and I feel like they haven't quite gotten to that point yet. So who knows, about a month's time, maybe we're in the stretch run of August where that might be.
Bernard batting .336, gets a called strike here on the 3-0. 3 different times we've seen Watland get a count out to 3-0. He gets the strike every time, but then he gives up the walk on the 3-1. So a big pitch here. The 3-1's on the way to Bernard. Oh boy, just a bit high. Looked close to the elbows, not close enough. And it's a leadoff walk for Isaac Bernard. The 3rd walk issued for Watland on the day.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for the Otters or for Watland. One giving Bernard the walk, but in front of Achenbaugh as the leadoff hitter. Not the right part of the order to kind of lose the command a little bit.
A strong bat in the second baseman, Trevor Achenbaugh, at the plate. He walked his first time up, stole second. And kind of as expected, Watland going to check on his runner a little bit more this time after the last 2 have stolen second.
Mm-hmm.
First pitch stays low for ball one. Still a lot of sunlight here from Sauget, but the stadium lights are on and starting to take over some of the work. Don't have to worry about shadows as much tonight since there is quite a bit of cloud coverage there to the south of us blocking off the sun. 1 ball, no strikes. They throw over to first. That's a really accurate throw. But Bernard's back in time.
Yeah, really the weather compared to the last couple of days, very beautiful. Back in Evansville today was really nice.
Ooh, pitch gets really high and inside on Achenbach. 2-0 the count now.
Fortunately, it doesn't look like we'll be as lucky once we're back home this week. Hopefully that'll change.
There's a huge gap on the right side of this infield. A 2-0 coming home. Swinging strike one. Another pitch from Watland that just dove away from that right-handed hitter. And he's really been good against the righties tonight.
And the thing is, his fastball has a little bit of movement as well, so you can't really overcommit to your swing because you can't really tell if it's going to be some small movement from the fastball or the larger slide piece.
The 2-1, they throw over to first again. That one's the closest one thus far. But safely back is Bernard. It really helps that both of the Otters' first basemen are left-handed throwers because it allows them to make that tag quicker, I think.
Yep.
2-1 coming home. Zoomed out to left. Baez is retreating back. Now he steps in a couple of feet and brings it in for out number one. That's the second time in the last 2 innings we've seen a ball crush to left field and then just die.
It's almost like you got to keep it below the lights almost to give it a chance.
Between the thick air and the wind, it's going to be hard to carry a ball to the left side tonight. Well, and a good thing for that is that Clint Freeman can hit him really well to right. He's at the plate now. The lefty fouled out accidentally to the left side his first time up. Tried to check his swing and just clipped it over to the left side. Starts with a called strike one, or sorry, a swinging strike one here in this at-bat.
Good healthy hack, but a good hard pitch from Weiland.
Oh, 1 pitch is on the way home. Extending the hands was Freeman to second for one. Back over to first. Is it in time? Yes, it is. A good old 3-6-3 ground into double play ends the fourth, and the Otters hanging on to a 2-run lead here from Sauget. Just 3 outs away from the halfway point in this ball game. Pitcher's really working well in this one thus far. Been fun to watch.
Pitcher's working well, fun to watch, and getting some good defense behind Weiland at 3-6-3. Because initially when I saw that ball headed toward first, I thought Weiland might have been close enough where he would try to step on the first base back first, then try to get just the tag out play at second. But he went right away, very decisive to second base to get the force out. And then it was going to be a matter of would Biermann be the one getting back to first base, or would it be Weiland who had the instinct to go off the mound to go cover, but Biermann made it back in time. Good, as you pointed out, 3-6-3 double play for the Otters in that last inning.
Well, and it just proves that the hard work does pay off. If you ever have been one of the people that spent time watching any amount of practice or batting practice time from the Otters, Biermann takes rep after rep after rep, trying those 3-6-3s or 3-4-3s on his quick throws and hustling back to the base, and it pays off right there. Jeffrey Baez at the plate now, takes a ball low and away to kick off the count at 1-0. So far in the game, a strikeout back in the second. The 1-0, a half swing. Did he go? Yes, he did, and the count evens up at a ball and a strike. Defense is played pretty much straight up for Jeffrey Baez. The only outlier is Penner in center field playing just a little slanted to the left. This one's chopped fair to the right side, picking it up and stepping on first himself is Carson LaRue. Good heads up defensive play by the pitcher to follow that ball and do it himself.
As you mentioned, Biermann having good practice at first base. We've seen a couple good instinctive plays by the pitchers on both sides where that PFP in spring training pays off.
So that'll bring up Anthony Torrelis. Launched one out of right center field his first time up in this game.
Still blows my mind that he doesn't use batting gloves. That's kind of old school. You don't see that much anymore.
First pitch to him is a called strike.
If I did that, my hand would be covered in blisters.
Yeah, he just loads up the bat right above his hands with pine tar so he could use that as his sticky way to connect to the bat. And other than that, old school for him. And with the high socks too.
Yeah, the solid color blues are not my favorite set of high socks for the Otters. The ones with the light blue stripe, white and striping that they sometimes, I think especially wear at home. I love those. Benny Garrett did a great job picking those out, our clubhouse manager.
A check swing gone wrong, goes a little too far through for Torrelis. He's down 1-2 in the count. Could be a payoff pitch on the way from LaRue. 1-2, zoom towards Diaz at short. He'll play it off the ground to first in time. Just barely beats the quick running third baseman of Torrelis. And it's 2 up, 2 down to start off this fifth inning. One more note about the third baseman, Torrelis. Nice to see a third baseman with that much speed capability as well. Not super typical of a third baseman. Well, with 2 down and nobody on, Brodie Tanksley making his second appearance of the game at the plate. Grounded out to short his first time up. First pitch is high inside. Got to him quickly there. His one appearance before tonight at the plate was an RBI single. And a great time for the Otters. Helped get some insurance for him at that point. And here he is with his first start. Takes a pitch low and outside for ball one. Count evens up. LaRue quickly sending home the 1-1 and sent foul to the right side off towards the parking lot. LaRue is getting ready to throw his 50th pitch. Meanwhile, Justin Watland only needed 55 to get through 4 innings. Both pitchers, like we mentioned, working very well. A 1-2, zoomed out towards right field. Chasing after is Achenbach, Bernard, and Freeman, but it will end up into the netting and off of a couple of individuals in the Grizzlies bullpen for a really long strike two.
It's kind of a unique difference between this ballpark and Bosfield is that the netting is extended, very far down for safety. But even when the ball's put up in the air, the fans here have to keep an eye on it still for when it comes back down. Whereas if you're at Bosfield, you basically know it's going to be an overhead foul ball that hits the roof or goes over back to the outer concourse.
So the 1-2 count to Brodie Tanksley. And LaRue's going to send it his way. Tanksley able to chop it foul back into the netting. Good defensive approach there. Tanksley taking a little time to get back in there. This is Tanksley's first opportunity in professional ball. In fact, his first professional start is tonight. Takes a pitch outside, evens the count at 2-2. Played for Indiana Southeast, an NAIA school for the last 4 years.
So he played on IU satellite campus in Southeast. Okay.
Really consistent hitter in college, averaging 340 at the plate. A 2-2. Chases one high and outside, and it's a strikeout for Brodie Tanksley that ends the top half of the fifth inning. Otters have had their last 7 men retired in order. They still hold a 2-0 lead here from GCS, Credit Union Ballpark. And we head to the bottom half of the fifth inning. Otters still leading this game by a pair of runs. They're going to face Trejo, Prather, and Pritchard working towards the bottom of the lineup. Impressive for the defense to help out with that double play and get through the toughest part of this lineup. Certainly cannot coast, but you can at least go to a couple of batters who struggle a little bit more against Watland.
Now let's try to, for the way he's been efficient, that seems huge in that regard as well with his pitch count, because you're getting through the toughest part of the order with your defense and not having to elevate that pitch count too high.
First pitch stays high for ball one against Cesar Trejo. Enters the game batting .222. Not a huge sample size for him thus far, though. Zooms one to the left side, through for a base hit. No chance for Torellis or Armstrong. Split the two of them, and Baez had to pick it up in left field. It's a leadoff single, the first hit allowed of the game for Justin Watland. To be honest, didn't even realize he was still throwing a no-hitter at this point. The walks kind of clouded that, I guess.
There's been some contact, but all of them have been up in the air and kind of died out toward left center a couple times.
It's the third time in 5 innings that the Grizzlies have had their leadoff man on. He's been stranded once, caught in a double play once, and, well, we're not sure what's going to happen to Trejo yet. First pitch to Jay Prather. It was a called strike right at the knees. Watland started off the at-bat with a quick throw over to first, which featured a pretty good scoop from Zach Biermann. I can't even tell you which first baseman between Biermann and Sinsley has the better scoop play over at first, because the two of them both do it very well. 0-1 the count to Prather. That one sent foul back towards the netting.
Yeah, both have some pretty good gloves over there at first base on the pick plays, and it astonished me the first few times we saw Sinsley play, his ability to stretch and split a little bit when he needs to, because, I mean, he's a big, hefty boy, and he is very limber over there at first base.
0-2 to Prather. Bounces in for ball one. Good work from Tanksley to keep it in front of him. Seems like every time I look out to that berm out in right field, it's a little bit more full. All the kids are leaning over the wall, helping out Elijah Mcnamee, I'm sure. The 1-2 count. There goes Trejo. The ball's lifted high and foul. Will end up out of play on the concourse level over there.
Heads up. I thought that was going to catch the awning over here to the left side. It did not. Just bounced right off the actual concrete. But Elijah plays off the heckling kids, I'd say, pretty well. Very interactive and engaging with fans at all ballparks.
A 1-2. They're going to check over at Trejo. He's back in time. A little slower to come up this time. 1-2, still the count to Jay Prather. Pitch on the way. It's lifted out towards left center field. It's going to drop for a base hit. Picked up by Gordon in order to keep it at a single. And there's runners on first and second with no outs now.
That time they kept it low out of the air and it got down for a hit. But good job by Gordon getting over there quickly to cut that off. Because that was almost in that little no man's land area where that could have been a first or third opportunity perhaps. But with Gordon's speed and instinctiveness out there in center field. But to build off what you're talking about, even between pitches, you see Mcnamee turn around talking to the kids out there.
Jackson Pritchard, the catcher at the plate now. 17 RBIs on the season for him. An opportunity here. Wide open stance, by the way, at the plate. First pitch to him. He's showing bunts. It works outside. Ball 1.
Yeah, very interesting stance here for Pritchard. Wide open, but really kind of leaning down, I guess, toward home plate.
Well, in the way it sounded like from the play-by-play men here for Gateway is that wasn't his stance a week ago. It was newly acquired as the Otters and Grizzlies series started off, and he's trying something new. 1-0 is sent fouled back into the netting. Count evens up.
The way he starts, it looks like he's about to take an axe to a tree or something.
Well, when he's actually swinging, he takes a huge step forward.
Yeah.
So he starts with all of his weights on that back-planted right foot. 1-1 the count for Jackson Pritchard. He's showing bunts again. It works a bit outside. Counts at 2-1.
Yeah, usually you see batters who maybe don't have quite the bat speed as others have that bigger high kick or made that bigger step forward to generate that momentum.
I think it's what we see George Khalil do. Almost too tall for his own good, Khalil is. 2-1. Pritchard shows bunts again. He lays it down, and it's caught by the pitcher, Watland, and he can't throw it in time. Trejo's just barely got himself back to second, and he just had to sit there for a while and be thankful he got back.
I mean, that literally came straight back to Watland. Usually on a bunt attempt, it's over to the side where the pitcher has to scramble or a catcher, but that literally came straight back to him.
And he didn't really have a play because there was no one covering first, and Armstrong was covering the gap out at short.
Yeah, no, he did the right thing, just holding on to
Absolutely.
it and play for the next out.
Jose Rosario, the 9-hole hitter, with runners on first and second and 1 out. Puts contact to this one. Armstrong dives in for it. To second for 1. To first. In time. Inning ending. Ground into double play. And we head to the 6th inning. Otters still lead by a pair. And we're on our way to the top of the 6th inning. Pitchers duel here. Really, 2 individual pitches are the only 2 deciders in this game. 2 solo home runs for the Otters. Other than that, both pitchers have worked very well. The defenses of both sides have been efficient. The Otters are going to see the back end of their lineup curl around. Armstrong, Mcnamee, and Biermann due up in the half inning. Eager to see what Armstrong could do this time up was part of an unfortunate send right back up the middle that he really couldn't do anything about. Picked up multi-hits in his last 2 outings. See what he can do in this at-bat.
He just showed why he's in the lineup for his defensive purposes. As in this game tonight, the Otters now have 2 Hoosier Lottery Powerball double plays, but since we're on the road, we can't give their fans the Powerball coupons, so we'll keep it for our homestand this week. But 2 great double plays this week, or in this game so far by Evansville.
First pitch is a called strike to the outside edge. Armstrong really proved, like you mentioned, charging in on that ball is the only reason that became a double play.
Exactly.
The play at first was very close.
His nice little side, basically tossing across his body sideways to make that flip to second. It's not easy to do with accuracy for a lot of infielders.
Tell you what, some of the most fun to watch is when Armstrong and Khalil work together on their double plays out there. A lot of chemistry between those two. Armstrong really loaded up on that swing, but got a little too far underneath it and sent it back into the netting.
Yeah, they both play the position very well, but they do it differently from one another. They both have their own style of how they play shortstop and up the middle.
Armstrong trusts his speed a little bit more, and I think Khalil trusts his arm a little bit more. A 1-2 is a called strike 3. That's the first time we've seen a man punched out tonight with a strikeout looking.
Well, the other thing, too, with Khalil, he as you already alluded to with his offensive stance, he is taller, longer, so he can take those bigger strides and still get to the ball fairly quickly. He kind of glides over, and then, as you said, trusts his arm strength to get the job done when he has to throw across the diamond.
Well, we curl back around to the top of the order where the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Elijah Mcnamee, steps in. First pitch is inside ball 1. His last time up, he hit one 338 feet off the right field wall out there to extend the Otters' lead to 2-0. 1-0 on the way to him. Called strike on the outside edge. Mcnamee got a couple of base hits last night. That was enough to work him back over 300. Just kind of playing hopscotch really with that 300 batting average line. That's exactly where you want him.
His average has been great for this season.
1-1 zoomed out to left field. Say goodbye to that one. It is fair. A no-doubter home run from Elijah Mcnamee. His first 2-run home run game of the season.
I might not have parked far enough away.
Goodness, that was sent nearly to the Loves over there.
No, I'm honestly concerned about my car right now. Because that took the direct path in that direction, so hopefully it got over. Exit velocity of 104 for Mcnamee ends up being an estimated 408.
So now Zach Biermann at the plate. Ooh, hefty swing from him. He was just a bit behind it. We've seen both Biermann and Baez really caught off guard by the off-speed pitches in this series so far. Biermann looking at an 0-1. The curveball falls in. He gets contact on it, but sends it foul to the left.
Heads up. Concourse area is in play here at GCS Ballpark.
Biermann's seen a tough last couple of weeks to his average, still well over 300. As the 0-2 comes home, stays low for ball 1, works him a little bit closer. It's been kind of a nice week here for the Otters. They had Doc Martin come with the team. I believe VP of Sales Joel Patfield's in attendance as well. We've got you here. We've got a lot of Otter faithful. Really cool to see this many people travel over from Evansville. A 1-2 low is swung on and missed by Biermann. His first strikeout of the day.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite trips to make, not only because of the short distance, only 2.5 hours approximately, depending on how fast you drive. I won't tell you how quickly I got over here. But also, it's a great atmosphere to come over here. And, of course, right across the way is St. Louis, one of my favorite cities to visit.
Well, you're crazy to not call this a rivalry. They've played over 200 times. They're geographically right next to each other. They've played every year since 2001. One of the members of that early Frontier League that helped develop
Right.
this
Yeah,
league into
the
what
only
it is.
difference really from making it a true rivalry, taking it to the next level has been the competitive side on the field record-wise, where the Otters have been at the top for quite a few years. Gateway, they've been near the bottom, so there hasn't been really that competitive back and forth quite yet. But that could happen yet this year. Gateway right at the 500 mark, floating around that mark. They're still well in play for potential playoff spot with, I would call it the now expanded playoffs for the Frontier League.
2-0 to Gordon. Takes it inside for ball 3. And, of course, there is still so much time for the playoffs. I mean, we really can't pinpoint anything. But there is it looks like there are 2 teams that are really starting to separate themselves in this West Division. And that's because both Evansville and Washington have found ways to win nearly every series they've played.
That's how it looks right now, but I never buy into that.
Absolutely
because
not.
There's always a couple teams that just come out, after the All-Star break. They get hot, and they really just kind of ruins everybody else's day who's actually had a full season of good competitive baseball.
Well, and of course, there's a couple of factors to keep in mind. The MLB draft coming up. You never know if you're going to see guys filter into this league once that's over, especially with the draft only being 27 rounds now. Could have a factor.
And, of course, anytime we get to August and the dog days of summer where some fatigue starts to set in, season fatigue, that always is a factor as well.
You're going to see guys bought out as they continue to succeed. A lot of factors could change things on a dime. Steven Sinsley at the plate now with a runner on first. Zooms one to right field, and the shift won't help that one. Gordon's going to round second and then stops up. That is a powerful shot for Steven Sinsley with the broken bat. The shift wouldn't matter. There's runners on first and second.
And just off the top of my head, I'm thinking back to last season where really Schaumburg was kind of an up and down team early on, and then of course they ended up winning the whole thing. Last year, Washington got off to a really bad start, and then they just tore it up, and they ended up making their way into the picture by the end of the season. So
Florence is the team to look at right now. They started the year in a really bad spot. I believe at one point 12 games under 500. Then they won 6 straight series, including one over these Otters, and are now in the conversation again. I mean, I believe 3 through 8 in the West Division is decided by 2.5, 3 games. J.R. Davis ready for his first pitch, a called strike on the inside edge.
Now, on the other side, in the East Division, I think you could say maybe there's 2 great teams. And although Sussex, I guess, has made kind of a little bit of a run lately, but
it's hard to tell. Quebec looks really hard to beat over there.
Yeah.
0-1 is the count, and LaRue's going to step off for a second. Just part of the fun of this level of baseball is that it's not like the MLB where you really can see that team is better than that team.
And especially now this year, you do have that All-Star break. So who has the momentum going into the All-Star break and then maybe loses that momentum because there actually is a break?
Well, and everybody starts the second half playing guys from the opposite division.
Yeah.
0-1. Zoomed out to center field, down for a base hit. Gordon's rounding third. There's going to be a play at the plate, but it's cut off on its way there. The Otters score another run. This on an RBI single from J.R. Davis, and the lead hits 4.
See, once again, he has the stance where it looks like he's going to take it opposite way, but because it gives him that little extra, again, kind of a mental thing almost, where he doesn't fly open too early. He's able to time up his swing to shoot the ball into center field, up the middle, and maybe toward the gap a little bit.
And just like we saw Friday night, this one happened a little bit later, of course. Middle of the game, the wind just dies.
Mm-hmm.
The flag has fallen straight down. Makes for a good night for fireworks, which they're planning on a big show after the game. There's runners at first and second, 2 outs. Jeffrey Baez at the plate. He clips one foul towards the glove of Pritchard.
And there's a final point about talking about that's kind of the standings of the league as a whole. That's why I was kind of surprised there was such a switch in momentum, like for Schaumburg and Washington, especially last year, because there was no All-Star break last year.
Well, like, keep an eye on Washington. They've got to make the Canadian trip as soon as the All-Star break ends. That's tough. 0-1 to Baez. Pitch is headed his way. Takes it in for a called strike 2 on the inside edge. He turns his head and asks for clarification from Trey Hudson behind the plate. Trey Hudson has that miner's helmet, umpire helmet that Bill McEwen raves about every time he sees. 0-2 count to Jeffrey Baez. Big pitch here. Leaves it up high. That's a good take for him. We saw him chase it earlier in the game.
Yeah, that's kind of the easy identifier for our home plate umpire because we've seen him in a couple series at Bossy Field already this season.
Sinsley stands on second. Davis stands on first. Jeffrey Baez at the plate with a 1-2 count and 2 outs. Pitch is on the way from Carson LaRue. And Baez does chase that one just a little bit, but is able to send it foul towards the backstop and keep himself alive.
Starting to see a little more movement from the right field bullpen for Gateway. Some light stretching starting to take place.
We always see the bullpens hop up and do that stretching in between innings, but this is the first time we've seen it in the middle of one. And really, it's just because the Otters have finally blown open for some hits. 1-2 the count to Jeffrey Baez. Pitch finally on the way. Baez right back up the middle over the extended hand of LaRue, and that's going to cause everyone to be safe. If LaRue lets that one by, it's certainly an out. You can't.
Somewhere, I don't know where the play, because that even would have been tough, I think, as at an angle to first base. Granted, I don't think Baez had the greatest jump out of the batter's box on that play either.
You can't fault him for trying on the play there, but that's a tough one for him. Had he been a little bit higher up the mound, he probably would have made the grab.
Yeah.
But that's a tough one that loads the bases with Anthony Torrelis at the plate. And that might be the hope for Steve Brook, is that maybe we can rely on our good pitcher to find a way to get this rookie out.
Yeah, because you only need one out, and now with the situation, bases loaded, they do have the force out at any base. Like I said, put your trust in your pitcher to get to the rookie, but tell you what, the rookie, as we've already mentioned, doing the little things in his couple of weeks as in an Otters uniform.
This doesn't really faze him much. With the bases loaded, Anthony Torrelis is 1 for 1 on the season. First pitch to him. Oh, man, that just missed the strike zone to the low side.
For Torrelis, he just looks like he has the mindset where he doesn't get too caught up in a lot of things. He just kind of stays among himself and basically what he can control.
Seems to take the count one pitch at a time, truly. 1-0 on the way to Torrelis. Another take, this one near the same area, but inside this time, and it's a called strike one, evening up the count. Bases are loaded. 2 outs in the top of the 6th. Otters lead by 4. Torrelis looking to extend it on the 1-1. Zoomed out to center field. That's curving towards the right side. Caught by the center fielder Penner, and that is going to surely save at least 2 runs. If that wind was still here, might have fallen for a base hit. Instead, the Otters are probably gladly take the 2 runs they can get in the 6th. We head to the bottom half of the 6th. Otters lead by 4. We are headed into the bottom of the 6th inning here. Otters have doubled their lead with a couple of solid base hits, one of which being a absolute monster home run that has Preston scared for his windshield.
Yeah.
Doing a run you through the line score of Watland. No runs on 2 hits in 5 innings, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks.
At least the back windshield. I did face toward the interstate, so.
That's probably smart. Called strike 1 to Abdiel Diaz, kicks off the inning. Also want to mention for Watland, of the 67 pitches he's thrown, only 38 have been strikes. Really goes to show the defense has helped him out tonight. I'm not going to say he'll buy them all around, but they might get a free penny slot at the casino tonight.
No, I do like the backdrop with the interstate here at the ballpark. I think just seeing kind of the commute of the cars going by a ballpark just kind of adds something. I don't know. It's hard to explain, I guess, but
it still makes you feel like a big league sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like you're in a town or big city,
That's
I guess.
That's why I always like when during the spring college season, University of Evansville, Bronze Stadium, during Merrick Bay Field, they're right there off the Lloyd. So you're sitting there in the press box or at the stands, the cars are just going by. You know, just kind of the busyness of Evansville.
2-2 is the count to Abdiel Diaz. Pitches on the way. It's a called strike 3. Big punch out from the home plate umpire, Trey Hudson.
I saw a punch out like that already this season from somebody else. Wanted to make it a gift, but not going to do it.
That's good for the 5th German-American Bank strikeout of the day from Watland. His first one since the 3rd inning. Just goes to show you what his defense has done for him. Double plays in the last 2 innings. Andrew Penner up next. Takes ball 1 up and in. So far 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout.
And just in case if Zane Clodfelter is listening to us here this evening, so I came up the interstate.
Ball grounded to the left side. Armstrong with a nice throw in time for out number 2.
I'll let him know that I did not have to stop to check the tires on my way up on the interstate here for Evansville to Gateway. The tires are just fine.
2 outs and nobody on. Isaac Bernard up to the plate. Want to start working through the Fox Sports WYFX Frontier League scoreboard. Tri-City defeated Empire State, of course, earlier. I said that final score before we started the game, 7-3. Quebec did end up beating Trois-Rivières 17-2. Ottawa ended up beating up New York 13-6. And in the battle for New Jersey, Sussex County holds a 2-1 lead in the 9th. Tell you what, it was a big win for Sussex on Friday, a big win for New Jersey yesterday, and a close game to finish it off. That's going to be a fun series if they keep doing that all year long.
Good one between Florence and Schaumburg as well.
1-0 catches the zone on the inside edge to Bernard, evening the count. Like he just mentioned, Schaumburg up 2-1 against Florence in the 7th. That's a great series. Lake Erie up 4 against Washington in the top of the 7th, trying to avoid the sweep. 1-1 is sent back towards the netting. For strike 2, the count's 1-2 to Isaac Bernard. Final score of the day, other than us, of course, Joliet holds a 2-1 lead, hosting Windy City in the 5th. Disappointed in the Thunderbolts. They started off really hot, and then now have gone through a little bit of a tough stretch. Of course, they've had to play some tough teams. 1-2 to Bernard. Called strike 3. And it's 2 German-American Bank strikeouts here in the inning that helped take this game to the back third. Otters lead 4-0 in this one. Beautiful night for baseball here from GCS, Credit Union Ballpark in Sauget. And to the top of the 7th inning we go. Otters lead by 4, and Carson LaRue returns to the mound for Gateway. Let's walk you through his day so far. 4 runs on 6 hits in 6 innings of work. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. All things considered, it's been a solid day for LaRue. It's really 3 pitches that have decided the game.
Yeah, it's really just been the long ball and a couple of missed locations. Otherwise, he's been pretty strong. He's done his job to limit, a number of base runners on at the same time. Besides that last half inning for him on the mound.
8, 9, and 1 due up for the Otters here. Brodie Tanksley will kick things off. 0 for 2 on the day thus far. First pitch is a called strike on the inside edge. Tanksley digs back in, another right-handed batter through this lineup. The 0-1 to Tanksley. That's the other thing that I think hurts a little bit about Phillips, us not knowing how long he could be out with after the tough slide last night. That's an important left-handed hitter that the Otters just don't have right now. 1-1 to Tanksley. Right back up the middle. Grabbed by Diaz on a line. Kind of looked like it was hanging a little bit higher than that. But Tanksley will sit down on the line out to the shortstop. That brings up the shortstop, Andy Armstrong. 0 for 2 thus far. A couple of really solid hits in this series already, though. 2 hits Friday night, 2 hits last night. With the way this game is going now, this could very well be his last at-bat. First pitch to Armstrong. On the way from Carson LaRue. Skied out towards right field. Bernard is chasing back to the warning track at the wall. Gone! Didn't get it last night, but Andy Armstrong has his first home run. And that dugout is going crazy for him. Big smile rounding third. And Evansville leads by 5. Well, after being ever so close last night, it's really good to see him get it tonight. Extending the lead. Put it right up there in the hot tub suite down in the right field corner here at GCS Credit Union Ballpark. And for the first time in, gosh, it feels like 2 weeks, the Otters have a game fueled by home runs that finally feels like the good old Otters we've seen all year long. 0-1 is clipped foul by Mcnamee. He's down 0-2. It's not the first professional home run for Armstrong. He got that last year playing for the Ogden Raptors in the Pioneer League, but it is his first home run of this season. And now every Otter who's played regular minutes has a home run. An 0-2 for Mcnamee. Grounded to the left side. Head man Andy McCauley is going to have to make a play. And he'll make a kid's day. Can't throw it over the netting, so he has to go through the door.
Which, to your point with the home runs, I mean, it's kind of, for Evansville, you don't want to be a team that lives and dies by home runs, kind of like in basketball. You don't want to live and die by the 3, but this team has the knack to generate offense in multiple ways. But when they do have the home runs and they come in a cluster like they have tonight, it shows obviously the potential of the depth of the lineup with the power and strength.
Mcnamee's going to sit down on a strikeout swinging, his first strikeout of the day. That's the 6th of the day for LaRue. And I think that's what happened to the Otters when they hit that big skid last week at Florence and Lake Erie. Is for the first time all year, the home runs weren't being hit. And because of that, they had to find alternative ways to win. And that's what we saw all week against Joliet, now here at Gateway, until this game. It was refreshing to see Evansville rely on some other form of offense because it makes them that one-dimensional deeper. Zach Biermann looking at a 1-1 count. Pitch on the way. Hefty swing, but he was...
And they really had to revisit how the other ways to generate their offense, because earlier in the year you had Mattis as the guy who was being aggressive, stealing bases, getting himself into scoring position. Obviously, with his departure to affiliated ball, you haven't really found that guy to do the same thing.
1-2 the count to Biermann. Lifted high, foul to the left side, out of play. Count will remain 1-2. The 1-2. Zoom down the right field line for Biermann, down for a base hit. He's going to start to round first, and then he's going to put the brakes on. Probably pretty smart. In this ballpark, you can hit the ball too hard to the outfield. And it's the second night in a row we've seen an Otter do that. A long single with 2 outs. And it looks like that's going to do it for Carson LaRue in this game. Indeed it will. We'll take the break with him, let you know who's coming in for him right after this, as the Otters have extended their lead to 5 and have a 2-out base hit. Well, we're still in the top of the 7th inning, and a pitching change is needed for Gateway. Taylor Sugg will come in out of the bullpen. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Sugg's going to face Miles Gordon to lead off this half inning. Very small lead from Zach Biermann there at first. First pitch to Gordon. Just a bit, or does catch the outside edge for a called strike 1. Sugg on the mound, Pritchard behind the plate. The pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. 0-1 the count. Miles Gordon ready at the plate. Long wait for Sugg. Pitch on the way. Stays low and away. Count evens up. And this is where I'm sure the question will be asked by Gateway. Are we sure we made this change at the right time? If he gets the out, of course, it's the perfect time. But if not, then you ask, maybe LaRue could have gotten it. I was really pleased with LaRue in this game. One the count. The center fielder Gordon, and time's called right before the pitch. Would have been a ball anyway. Like we've mentioned multiple times tonight, it seems every time I look down, the crowd has grown, or they've packed in their seats more. They're expecting a big firework display tonight.
I mean, overall, it feels like, obviously the holiday weekend, people looking for something to do, and why not come out and enjoy some baseball?
Especially with the Cards out of town across the river.
Yeah, they made up they went to Philly.
1-1 is swung on and missed for strike 2.
I mean, overall, even Friday and Saturday, the crowd is pretty good here this weekend.
Yeah, all three have been really nice so far. I think holiday weekend plays into it as well. And they've done fireworks every night, which is, I'm sure, helped attendance as well. But
I think I've only made one trip over here where Grizzlies and Cardinals were both here at home. Thankfully, the Cardinals had a day game, so I was able to double dip.
1-2 stays low and evens the count.
go watch the Cards the other day, and I came myself and another person from our former front office staff member came over. And we attended the Otters game that evening.
2-2 count for Gordon. Pitch on the way. Stays outside. The count is full. Huge shift against Miles Gordon right now. Second baseman Achenbaugh is basically playing a shallow right field. Leaves a huge gap up the middle. No action in either bullpen now. As a 3-2 makes its way home to Miles Gordon with 2 outs and a runner on first. Swinging strike 3, and it's the second strikeout of the inning. This one ends the 7th, and we head to the bottom half of the 7th. Time to stretch from Gateway. Otters lead by 5. We're ready for the bottom half of the 7th inning here from Sauget. Otters have leaned a little bit on the long ball tonight, and it's done them good. But if you take the 4 long balls away, they still got it done.
And all of the long balls have been solo.
Yeah.
It's not really been crooked numbers in that kind of way for Evansville.
Zoomed down the left field line, this first base hit. Part of that is because every single hit the Otters had was a home run until they were already up 4-0. Then that's when we start to see some singles lifted in there.
But of course, even 4 solo home runs add up eventually.
Count drops to 0-2 to Achenbaugh as he swings and misses at a pitch low and outside. Starting to hear some booms around the stadium as people start to set off their Sunday night fireworks. Once it starts to get more dark, you'll start seeing some out there in center field. An 0-2, lifted out towards right center field. Mcnamee will chase back towards the wall. At the wall, diving over. Did he make the catch? He did!
Nope.
No, and now the umpire is going in circles. Looked like he just put the fist up. Mcnamee ever so close to grabbing it, but the Grizzlies are on the board. That could be the run that just starts to bring them back. We've seen the Otters usually put up shutdown innings, not able to now. Could be the little piece that starts to break into this one. Tell you what, Mcnamee certainly sold it out there and right. Still no outs. A solo home run has brought the Grizzlies within 4. And another man who can do it up at the plate now, Clint Freeman. If their research was right yesterday, that's his first home run to right field all season for Achenbaugh.
If Mcnamee would have come up with that one, though. As you noted very well in the first trip to Gateway, where he seemed to be kind of everywhere defensively and making plays.
0-2 picked up by Watland. He's just going to go run and step on first himself to pick up The first out of the inning after giving up the first run of the inning. Don't think a single person shifted in the Otters bullpen as they're still confident in their man Watland.
Yeah, it's still a little early.
And I'm sure he's the most frustrated member of the whole team at this point. Cesar Trejo at the plate now.
The 5-run lead at the time, 1 run given up, you don't want to give that quick of a trigger.
Well, and in a game that neither team has been able to really stretch hitters and runners together. 1-0 the counts. Stays way low. Tanksley does well yet again to keep a ball in front of him. That's been one of the most impressive things, I think, so far, is Tanksley's done well to not let stuff get past him. 2-0. That one sent back into the netting. Trejo dug way underneath it. Otters are expecting Trejo to pull just a little bit as Armstrong is playing in the gap on their left side. The 2-1, way up high. Watland is currently at 85 pitches. Ball is skied high. Is it going to stay in play? No, it is not. It'll end up in the 4th row. So the count goes to full for Cesar Trejo. This is a big battle for Watland to win. Otters lead by 4. Gateway finally able to get on the board with a solo home run here to kick off this 7th inning. 3-2 count. Pitch on the way. It stays low, and Trejo's on his way to first with a walk. Every time Watland has issued a walk, his defense has backed him up in some way, whether it was a nice play in the outfield on the left side or a couple of ground ball double plays. They've helped him out.
And now it's like Felix is making his way down with the catcher's gear to the bullpen, so I'm sure it'll start being a little bit more movement here shortly.
First pitch to Jay Prater is ball 1 on the inside edge. Prater managed a hit back in the 5th inning, fouled out back in the 7th. Baez stole it over the wall. Throw over to first is not in time as Trejo's diving back in. I think Trejo has had the most trouble having to dive back into first today. Seems like every time he gets a lead over there, he's getting tested. 1-0 the count. Pitch headed home. Called strike 1. One ball, 1 strike, 1 out, and 1 on here in the bottom half of the 7th. Grizzlies have scored 1 this inning. The 1-1 is foul tipped into the glove of Tanksley. And behind the count is Jay Prater at 1-2. Watland taking a little more time between pitches to get set up. Readies himself and fires home on the 1-2. Way ahead of it was Prater. He tried to slow it down through the swing, and that was enough to foul it back.
And that's a good pitch right there. And even if he puts it in play fair, it's going to be a ground ball and a chance at another double play perhaps for the Otters if he can hit that same spot.
1-2 is off the knob of the glove, or off the bat, and it's into shallow left field. Armstrong is able to bring it in for out number 2, and that's a lucky one for him. Just barely got underneath it. That'll bring up the catcher, Jackson Pritchard, who is 0 for 2 with a ground out and a bunt pop out right back to the pitcher, Watland. It's crazy to think where this game would have been if he successfully sacrifices the 2 guys to second and third with that 1 out. We could be talking a whole different game. Trejo is breaking towards second, and again, we see we see Tanksley unable to make the transfer. It kind of looked like he got stuck.
That one was a good save for all in all, because he had to snow cone that in order to keep from going to the backstop. That goes to the backstop, and there's a good chance that he could end up at third, but he was able just to snow cone it to keep it in the glove.
1-0 to Pritchard. Hefty swing evens the count, and Tell you what, if the bag wasn't there for him to grab, Cesar Trejo might have slid all the way into left field. He didn't quite time the slide well and almost overslid. 1-1 the count to Pritchard. He goes off the handle of the bat and back into the netting.
And when you have a snow cone ball like that in a catcher's mitt, that's not always the greatest spot to grab to transfer a baseball from to make a throw.
So many catchers are so worried about that throw down to second that you almost released too early. You could have thrown it back to the backstop yourself.
Yeah.
1-2 count to Pritchard. Bounces in. Good stop from Tanksley there. We're now starting to see Tanksley have to, this is where the game gets tough. You have to work with a tired pitcher to keep things from getting away from you. Good testing time for him. Still no action for the Otters, or for the Grizzlies for that matter. 2 outs, runner on second. The 2-2 coming home. Swinging, strike 3, and Justin Watland will walk that walk off the field. We've played 7 full. A solo home run for the Gateway Grizzlies have brought them 1 run closer, but they still trail 5-1 here on the Otters Digital Network. We're on our way to the top of the 8th inning. Steven Sinsley, J.R. Davis, and Jeffrey Baez due up. Not really the 3 I would want to see coming to the plate if I was a pitcher trying to defend a lead or trying to defend a deficit. Obviously, the Grizzlies don't want to get any further down. The score at 5-1 right now. First pitch to Sinsley, outside, ball 1. They have the shift on him, yet he still lasered one between the first and second baseman his last time up. 1 ball, no strikes to Steven Sinsley. Abdiel Diaz is playing shortstop directly above second base. Sinsley so far in the game, 1 for 3 with that rocket shot single back in the 6th. 1-1 on his way. He fouls one off of his foot. And he will take an extra second to walk that one off. He has the shin guard on him, but he doesn't have the cover that goes over the top of the foot, too. That might have saved him there. And the headman, Andy McCauley, is going to have a walk down and ask Mandy Flake to come out of the dugout as well, just to make sure everything's good to go. And as soon as Sinsley sees him walking his way, he shoos them away. Sinsley ready for the 1-2. There's nobody on and nobody out here in the top of the 8th inning. Otters holding on to a 4-run lead. Sugg taking his time looking in. for his decision from his catcher. The 1-2 on the way. They're going low inside, and it hit Sinsley on the back of the right leg, and he kind of squints a little bit after that one. After fouling one off that foot and now taking a pitch off that foot, that's a tough at-bat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be...
Surprisingly enough, though, that's the first hit by pitch by any pitcher so far tonight. So now with Sinsley over on first, nobody out, J.R. Davis making his way to the plate. Davis had an RBI single back in the 6th, going alongside a couple long flyouts. First pitch to Davis. Works high and inside, almost catches his helmet for the second time in the game. And he asked the home plate umpire. He was a little frustrated there. Davis hit a almost home run to the longest part of this ballpark, right where the GCS Credit Union sign stops out there in left field. It landed right there in the glove of Penner, the furthest you can hit one without getting it over the wall. 1-0, catches the zone and evens the count. And no, a balk is called beforehand. Sinsley's on his way to second. And now Sugg is very upset about it. The discussion's going to be had between Gateway's manager and that first base umpire, Trevor Klosterman. To be honest, I didn't even see it that time. Looked like such a quick coming together and throwing home. Maybe he didn't hold long enough is the discussion here. As it stands, Sinsley's going to be on second. J.R. Davis is going to be looking at a 1-0 count with nobody out.
That's the only thing I could think of. I didn't see any kind of twitching with the feet or anything, so I'm guessing, yeah, it just didn't come set long enough to the umpire's liking.
Well, that was what was said by Sugg as soon as he turned that way, as he brought his glove towards his stomach, trying to say, like, I brought it in, or I gave it time, but regardless of the conversation afterwards, the box is going to stay in there, and it will stay a 1-0 count. Davis now with an RBI opportunity. One of the counts. Hefty swing from Davis. Seemed a little behind the fastball there. Davis taking his time to get himself back into the box. No matter what happens with the two out there already, Jeffrey Baez is in the on-deck circle and will get an opportunity in the half inning. The 1-1. Way outside. A good stop from Pritchard to keep that one from going back to the backstop. And they will go ask to have a reiteration of signs. That's why the catcher Pritchard's asking the home plate umpire to come with him. Something that I didn't understand until Tim Holgrafer actually explained it to us at the press box a few weeks ago. They asked the home plate umpire to come out there with them, and if they only talk about signs, it doesn't count as a mound visit to help limit the amount of mound visits that they have out there.
Which, to my knowledge, there's not a mound visit limit in the Frontier League. I don't think. It's definitely not officially kept track of.
2-1 is the count to J.R. Davis, a runner at second and no outs. Pitch on the way. Sent on the ground to the left side, through for a base hit. Sinsley didn't know where to go. He's going to advance to third because there was no one ready to cover third. And there's runners on the corners now with no outs.
Looks like Rosario was kind of awkward in between decisions there at third base. He charged toward it. And then he just kind of stopped and redid his steps a little bit. I don't know if he thought maybe Diaz was going to have a chance at it. I'm not really sure.
That'll bring up the left fielder, Jeffrey Baez. 1 for 3, a single in the 6th inning. Grounded into the pitcher back of the 5th and a strikeout back in the 2nd. Round out the day for him.
I mean, Sinsley did a good job of not taking off right away, obviously with the ball being hit in front of him.
Well, I think he noticed there's no one really close to third to cover, and I might have a chance here. And in my opinion, up 4, that's an okay risk to take when you think you have that opportunity. 1-0 the count to Jeffrey Baez. Runners on the corners, no outs. Otters looking to expand their lead. If it stays around this way, I can almost promise you we won't see Logan Sawyer in the game. If it's not a save situation, not usually seeing him. 1-0 the count. Stays low and outside. Counts 2-0. Would expect that they're going to try to get Watland through 7, and then potentially Gallardo might go 8 and 9. We might see Tyler Spring, who we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. A lot of bullpen is available. 2-0 is the count to Jeffrey Baez. Pitches on the way. He watches it cross the zone for a called strike 1.
I mean, Otters have no action, so I'm guessing, yeah, they're going to send Wallen back out there for one more inning.
And we might see what they did last night, or 2 nights ago with Parker Brahms, and as soon as the inning starts, get someone up throwing just in case he's needed in the middle of the inning.
Yep.
Smart way to do it. Runners on the corners, no outs. 2-1 pitch to Jeffrey Baez. He's on the way now. A half swing, it works way outside. Good disciplined hitting from him, or I guess lack of hitting, watching pitches go by. Might start to hear some booms in the background as fireworks starting to pick up around the area here at GCS Credit Union Ballpark. 3-1 is the count to Jeffrey Baez. Great opportunity for him. Suggs sends it home. Catches the zone on the high outside corner. Baez shakes his head a little bit as he walks back to the box. Taylor Suggs steps up on the bump, ready for the payoff pitch to Jeffrey Baez. Looking to add to his 27 RBIs on the season. The 3-2 to the left fielder, Baez. Down and away, ball 4. The bases are now loaded. There are still no outs at the top of the 8th. And this brings up Anthony Torrelis, his second opportunity of the day with bases loaded. But first, there's going to be a quick meeting up on the bump for this Gateway team. That's a really impressive at-bat for Jeffrey Baez.
For Baez, that was a really great at-bat.
Not often we get to see him play the patient game and really make a pitcher come to him, and he did that there.
Especially when you have the chance to drive in a run and have the RBI opportunity, because that's his job, is to drive that guy in, but kept it in check, and now a big opportunity with the bases loaded for Torellis with still no one out.
Yeah, with no outs, almost anything can score a run. Even a double play likely does it. Although I would fully expect Gateway to try to throw home and limit the extra run, trying to keep themselves close. That's a risky way to play the game, but you never know. So Anthony Torrelis will make his way to the plate with the bases loaded and no outs, and as expected, Gateway playing very in. Logan Sawyer looks like he's making his way towards the dugout for the Otters. Might just be joining his teammates there at this point. All 4 infielders with their toes on the infield grass, or turf, if you will. First pitch to Anthony Torrelis. A bit up high. It's a called strike 1 on the high outside corner. It was a quick throw out by Pritchard to third. Sinsley was back in time. And I do want to echo the comments of Brennan Erlanston down there on the other side of the press box. That's a risky throw. If that gets past 2 runs, probably score.
And I just don't see the need for it. There's only a handful of catchers that can pull that off.
The 0-1 dropped into right field by Torrelis, right at Bernard. Sinsley's making his way towards home. The play at the plate might have been in time if Pritchard would have charged it a little bit. It kind of died once it hit the infield. And the Otters are going to score a run on a sac fly from Anthony Torrelis. He'll get love on his way back to the dugout.
I mean, that's just a good productive out. You got the job done.
So that'll bring up Brodie Tanksley. making his first professional start this evening. Though his bat has not had anything 0 for 3 on the day, I've been pleased with him behind the plate. He's managed the game well, kept things in front of him. They go throw over to third to make sure that Sinsley tagged up. He did. Lead stays 6-1.
If anything, on that last play, my biggest worry is that he slid around or past home plate because he scooted a few good feet past home plate once he crossed it.
First pitch to Brodie Tanksley on the way. Hefty swing, and he was just underneath it.
Big cut there for Tanksley.
It looked fluid, though. It didn't look forced. Baez on first. Davis at second. There's one out on the board and an 0-1 count coming home to Brodie Tanksley. Push to the right side, well foul, will get out of play. Counts quickly 0-2. Still nobody warming in either bullpen. Gateway trying to have some faith in Taylor Sugg. The whole game plan goes out the window when you have to play 13 games in 13 days. You can't count on the off day now, so managing your bullpen's a little strange now. 0-2 the count to Tanksley. Swinging strike 3 was just behind that ball. He sits down with a German-American bank strikeout. And that will bring up Andy Armstrong. For the third straight inning, he will have an at-bat. His last time up, his first home run of the season, a 325-footer to right. Andy Armstrong standing in there at the plate, looking to grab his third two-hit game of the series. First pitch he sees, pretty breaking ball towards the outside edge. There's 2 outs, runners on first and second for Evansville. They lead by 5, and Andy Armstrong's looking at an 0-1 count. That one is clipped foul back towards the netting behind home plate, and he's quickly down 0-2 in the count. Playbook is wide open for Taylor Sugg. All things considered, bases loaded, no outs, only allowing 1 run. That would be a huge win for Taylor Sugg in my book.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the goal was to not have any, but you just go sac fly and minimize what at one time was bases loaded.
The 0-2 to Andy Armstrong. The 2 on and 2 outs. Works outside for ball 1 of the counts. Davis got a good little hop there as the pitch came home. Certainly looking to score on something to the outfield. Defense set up with a slight shift towards the left side for Armstrong. Huge gap to the right side of the infield. And time is called before the next pitch. One-two count. 2 outs, 2 on. Andy Armstrong staying fairly patient at the plate. The 1-2 on the way. Low and away, and he's even the count at 2-2. Had a couple games go final since we last ran through the Fox Sports WIFX Frontier League scoreboard. Sussex County does get a 2-1 win against New Jersey, and Schaumburg does get a 2-1 win against Florence. Both those teams picking up much-needed victories.
And Lake Erie looks like just a few outs away from getting a win against Washington. That'd be big for the Otters if this result can hold.
2-2 swung on and missed, and the bases loaded opportunity will come back to only allow 1 run. We head to the bottom half of the 8th. Otters lead by 5. Into the bottom of the 8th we go. To absolutely nobody's surprise, Justin Watland returns to the mound. They did announce attendance just now. 6,985. That is a wonderful crowd for a Sunday evening. Jose Rosario, the 9-hole hitter, called strike 1 to start off his count. We'll see Rosario, Diaz, and Pinner here in the 8th. The 0-1 to Rosario. Stays low. Count evens up. Grizzlies certainly running out of offensive outs. The 1-1. Swinging strike 2. Rosario was fooled on the low inside pitch. Man, you could have told me that Watland was in his first inning, and I probably would have believed it with that pitch.
Yeah, it was probably actually a decent amount of time for him to kind of regroup himself between innings, considering the Otters offensively in that top half.
The 1-2. Called strike 3 on the high outside corner. And you can make it 8 German American Bank strikeouts for Watland.
Because it did look like at the end of that bottom of the 7th where maybe fatigue looked like it was going to start to set in a little bit, but he finished it out. And like I said, probably got enough just for a few more bullets in the tank here.
With that out, that is officially the longest outing of the season for Justin Watland, now at 7 1/3. First pitch sent to Diaz is sent high, foul, and out of play to the left side. Out towards the concourse over there. 1 out, nobody on. The 0-1 headed home to Diaz. Swinging strike 2. That's a pitch that a lot of pitchers throwing their 8th inning of work are not going to challenge, not potentially give up. Fastball up high, but he didn't seem too scared. 0-2 to Diaz. Bouncing in. Diaz will not chase. It's a 1-2 count.
And now Watland, too, can kind of reset where he can be aggressive again. Obviously, no one on base and a 5-run lead to work with again.
Swinging strike 3 on a 1-2. Sits down Abdiel Diaz. It's the 9th German American Bank strikeout of the game. That ties a season high for Justin Watland. He's done it twice before. So that'll bring up the former Otter center fielder Andrew Pinner, 0 for 3 on the day. Strikeout, flyout, ground out. Just a pop out away from one of each. Starts off with ball 1 outside. The 1-0. Zoomed down the left field line. Torrelis will play it on 1 hop over to first in plenty of time. That ends the inning very quickly. We're on to the 9th. Otters still lead by 5. And we are ready for the top of the 9th here. The biggest thing you and I noticed as we were sitting here in the inning break, doesn't look like Evansville has any indication or care to start warming someone up. seems like it's going to be Justin Watlin's baseball as we head into the bottom of the ninth.
He bounced back with a strong inning there. And I also like seeing after he did give up that one run at the bottom of the 5th that the offense bounced back to give him support, backing up, getting that run back in the top of the 8th. But so then he was able to go back out, be aggressive, and attack the zone once again.
First pitch to Elijah Mcnamee, crack to the left side. Tough play for Diaz on the run in time for out number 1. And to your point that the Otters bounced back well after that, every single time that Gateway has scored this weekend, except for their 7th inning run on Friday night, has been answered by runs from the Otters. Only one time this whole weekend the Grizzlies have scored and not had a run backed right back at them. They also do not have a single crooked number. Every time they've scored, it's just been 1. First pitch to Zach Biermann is well outside, ball 1. One ball, no strikes to Biermann. Pitch is on the way. Works a bit too far inside and low. It's a 2-0 count. Two balls, no strikes for Zach Biermann. This one's launched high, well foul, out of play to the left side. It'll be in the seats. Big bounce, and someone will get a souvenir over there. Two 2-1 count now for Biermann. Two on the count. Sent towards the second baseman, Achenbach. He'll play it on a couple of weird hops over to first in time for out number 2. Good recovery from Achenbach after taking that pitch that ground ball a little bit wildly.
That was a can of corn for him compared to the play he made earlier in the game, though. That was still a really strong play from Achenbach. See what Evans would like to get Biermann going again. It feels like he's been quiet the last week or two.
He's really looking for that breakout game to kind of re-kickstart his offense. So Miles Gordon steps up with 2 down and no one on. First pitch to him is sent straight back towards the netting for strike 1. If he finds his way on, Steven Sinsley is in the on-deck area. Gordon still looking for his first hit of the ball game. Did have a walk in the 6th, came around to score, but no hits. The 0-1, well outside. Count evens up at a ball to strike. Tell you what, you finish out this bottom of the 9th, that feels really good moving into tomorrow. Knowing you've got 3 of the 4 at least.
And really for the week.
Yeah.
I mean,
the 1-1 to Gordon. Called strike at the elbows. It would be the second time this season that the Otters have won 6 straight games. And, that it puts you in a good place. We're right here closing down the stretch towards that All-Star break, and you want to finish at the best place you can.
I was trying to think, and obviously you've been more in touch with the team than I have. The highest number of games above 500 the team's been this year.
Right now.
So that even passed earlier.
Yeah, they had been up 10 before, but this is the first time they've been up 11.
Okay, because like I said, I know they had that big streak early in the season that really created some separation in the win-loss column.
But right now they have a lot of leeway, which feels pretty good, especially with that road trip to Sussex County on the horizon after that after the All-Star break. That could be a tough one. 1-2 the count to Gordon. Way outside, count evens up at 2-2. Otters, once they get to that All-Star break, are going to face Sussex County, New York, and Tri-City. And just like that, they're done with the East Division. So really tough series there. Luckily, the New York and Tri-City series are at home.
And at least, I guess, the fortunate part with that Sussex trip is that it is bookended with a couple off travel days.
A called strike 3 on the high inside corner to Gordon. Ends the top of the 9th. Watlin, the first man out of the dugout, ready for this bottom of the 9th. It's coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network. Don't go anywhere. To the bottom of the ninth we go. And as we mentioned right before the break, Justin Watland was already sprinting out to the mound before the inning was over. And the entire bullpen pretty much just saying, not our job, he's got it.
He's got it, yeah. They'll take the day off and get rested up.
I think personally, as a pitcher, if I were to look over to my bullpen and see an arm starting to warm, that plays in your head a little bit. With it right now, he knows that this whole team trusts him to finish this one out, and rightfully so. First pitch to Bernard. Stays a bit low for ball one. He is at 111 pitches right now, but pitch count is just a number to some of these guys. 1-0 the count. Zoom towards right field, down the line, just foul. Oh, boy. That was zoomed.
Yeah, at this point for Watland, too, his next start wouldn't be until the weekend series against Florence. And I think really in the way the rotation possibly lines up for that series, it's going to be nice for Evansville.
1-1 is zoomed out to right center field. Gordon at the wall, gone. And Watland is very frustrated as the lead is drawn down to 4. That one was kind of expected after the last pitch. Solo home run has the game at 6-2 now. Nobody more frustrated in the ballpark but Justin Watland, and an arm will start to warm up. Looks like Logan Sawyer. Well, the only other person who can claim any offense in this game for the Grizzlies is Trevor Ockenbaugh. He's at the plate now. Had a solo home run his last time up. First pitch to Ockenbaugh. Called strike right at the elbows. Defense playing straight up all the way around. Outfield is rather deep. 0-1, right back up the middle to Watland. He'll take that one over to first. Overthrows. Diving play by Biermann. He got there. Woo! What a dive from Biermann to get to first and grab the out. That's a first baseman just trying to help his pitcher out. No doubt about it. Kind of makes your heart skip a beat, especially on a play like that because of what happened to Phillips yesterday, diving into a bag awkwardly. But it's good to see Biermann hops up. And it's quickly the first out now. A very unconventional 1-3 put out. First pitch to Freeman, zoomed out to right field. Mcnamee coming in, diving play, he made it. First time all series we've seen Elijah Mcnamee become a factor. That's a huge out.
That was sinking quickly too, where it's almost in that, do I even bother diving or just run into it, and being able to react quickly enough to the low liner.
Well, it was good work from Gordon to hustle over there and get behind him in case it got past. And just like that, Cesar Trejo up to the plate, and he's accounting for the last potential out now. Came quite quickly. The 1-0, that one's fouled right back towards home plate, evening the count. I'll be real with you, it doesn't really look like Sawyer's throwing or warming up with that much intent at this point. Really taking his time between some of his pitches. 1-1 count to Cesar Trejo. Swinging strike 2. And the Grizz are down to their last strike. The 1-2 to Trejo. Swinging strike 3, fouled back towards Tanksley. It gets away from him, and we'll have to do it all again. One ball, 2 strikes. Let's try it again to Trejo. Just missed high and inside. That's a close pitch, but it was indeed a bit too high. Trejo looking at a 2-2 now. Watland was falling off the mound, but it's a swinging strike 3, a complete game for Justin Watland. Boy, did he deserve that one. 2 pitches is all that separated him from a complete game shutout. That is a masterclass from Watland. His second straight really good outing after 2 really poor ones.
Yeah, had to work around some scenarios here tonight. Had those walks early in the game, but nonetheless able to grind it out. He is a tough pitcher on the mound. Good for him and good for this team to clinch the series in the first 3 games, obviously with the 4th one tomorrow.
And I'm sure that he's going to owe his defense a lot tonight. They really helped him out. It's something we've seen, especially in the last week, I guess, as throughout the Joliet series and this one. Close ball games that the defense has had to become a factor in. And these Otters are really proving how strong a defensive squad they are.
Yeah, very strong defensively, getting a lot better as the season goes on. And again, just to reiterate what we talked about in the 9th inning there, giving the bullpen a rest day. Even though Sawyer got up and throwing, that's nothing for him. He's a veteran. He can do that every day if he asked him to. But to give the bullpen, especially the middle relief, some rest, that lines up well for them for tomorrow and even going forward into this week for this team, because I think that's cute. That's huge at this part of the season where Evansville has at times been trying to figure out that middle bullpen, middle relief area.
Well, with that final strikeout to end the game, Justin Watland has 10 in the game, allows 2 runs on 4 hits in 9 complete innings, walked 4, and again, struck out 10, only 121 pitches. It seemed like he was way over that, but for once in what seems like weeks on weeks, we see an Otters pitcher give up walks, yes, but limit his pitch count. And really, it's been a while since we've seen an Otters pitcher do that effectively.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, just for Watland, we know what he's capable of. And again, at times, maybe some walks or maybe just attacking the strike zone a little, maybe too predictably might be the right way to put it. But we know he has the stuff, and he's definitely got the velocity. I mean, he blew a number of pitches past the Gateway Grizzly batters tonight.
Well, and it seemed like, and I don't really remember seeing it as much in the last game he pitched, but his slider was very in control tonight, and that helped a ton against those righties.
Yeah, going down away from those righties, that seemed to be a nice solid weapon. And then it seemed like he went more toward that off speed away from the lefties here tonight.
Well, we have one more final score to give you. Lake Erie does defeat Washington 5-1. It's good news for them. It's good news for us. The Otters moved just 1.5 games back after their win this evening. One game still finishing up here on July 3rd. Joliet still holds a 4-2 lead, hosting Windy City, one of the battles of Chicago, in the bottom of the 7th inning. If you want to check out that one, check out the Frontier League website in 30, 40 minutes. They should be final by then. Not a huge slate of games tomorrow, but there are a few playing. Sussex County will be at New York. Ottawa will be at Tri-City. Florence at Schaumburg. Windy City will be at Washington. And, of course, you can catch us right here on the Otters Digital Network at 6:35 as the Evansville Otters and Gateway Grizzlies conclude their 4-game set on July 4th. We're very pleased you've joined us for this edition of Otters Baseball. We hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend and holiday tomorrow. Really good, once again, to see the bats come alive, the long ball return for the Otters. It's uplifting to see that part of the game return tonight.
Yeah, just a great stretch of baseball right now for the Otters since coming back to home early in the week. And really just it's been complete efforts in all aspects of the game. It feels like this during this last week. This weekend series, going back to the Joliet series where we talked about the defense, the pitching, the hitting. It seems like it's all come together this week. Of course, you just want to hope that they can sustain it for the long haul.
But you got to be careful. Can't let the Otts get hot. They've won 6 straight. They'll look for the 4-game sweep tomorrow night. Again, 6:35. The pregame show starts here on the Otters Digital Network. My thanks to Preston Leinenbach, who made the trip out here to join me on the broadcast. Safe travels home tonight, and hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend.
Yeah, you as well. Bring back home another dub tomorrow, and then we'll get rested up and get ready for Schaumburg. I would stay for tomorrow night's game, but considering we do have another series coming up quickly at home and not really an actual off day, got to get ready for that one. So.
Yeah, don't forget the Otters are home Tuesday through Sunday this week. If you'd like to see the promotional schedule, which there is a ton of cool ones this week, go to evansvilleotters.com/promotions to find those. And go to evansvilleotters.com to buy tickets for all those games this week. Should be a great week of games. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, he's Preston Lineback. I'm Matthew Will. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Otters Baseball on the Otters Digital Network. I'll talk to you tomorrow at about 6:35 as the Otters and Grizzlies finish the 4-game set. Have a great evening.